Hey there everyone, Hanyou here, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, Onikakushi. Last episode was a little freaky. If you don't know what I mean, you should probably go watch the last episode, but for those of you who have seen the last episode, you know what I mean. So we're just gonna carry on, as per usual, and yeah, let's jump right in, shall we? Huh? Satoshi? I remembered that name. Didn't they tell me Satoshi transferred out last year? He was at your school up until last year. Didn't they tell you anything about him? Come to think of it, when I transferred in, I believe they said my seat belonged to a recent transfer student. Then, where I sat, once belonged to the one who was demoned away. It was his seat? I recalled the cold sensation that came from that desk. It made my hair stand on end. This string of mysterious deaths. No, Oyashiro-sama's curse. I now knew how it connected to me. That chilling sensation. It was the feeling of Oyashiro-sama caressing the back of my neck. Oyashiro-sama's curse, huh? Could Oyashiro-sama's curse really exist? In all honesty, I was beginning to believe it. And I was scared. That was why I wanted to say it was a plot crafted by man and not the work of a curse. But the more I dug into it, the less likely that seemed. No, the more I dug, the more mysterious it became. If I kept digging, eventually I'd reach the point where I'd learn something I really shouldn't know. To either be none the wiser or to seek an answer I may regret. Which one would I be happier with? Maybe it'll be me next time. My execution could only be delayed for 1 year. That was when I remembered. Rina. Rina said she may be the next victim of the curse. You mean Rina Ryugu-san? She transferred in last year and she's your classmate, isn't she? These incidents really might be a bit too disturbing for a girl. She's not just scared, is she? It wasn't that. She said it might be her next. She said it in a way that made me think she had a concrete reason behind it. It felt like she was convinced. Almost as if you could say she was frightened. Her sudden change in demeanor. That someone who looked like Rina but wasn't Rina. That might be unrelated. All the strange things that I felt from Rina today came back to me. I see. Then I'll be doing a bit of investigating on this end. Please continue your observations of Ryugu-san, Maebara-san. Are you asking me to keep Rina under surveillance? That's not what I mean, Maebara-san. I just want you to watch out for your friend so she doesn't end up the next victim. At that moment, just as my mouth was agape because I was so impressed with his mature, clever way with words. Knock, knock. A sudden knock at the door sent my heart racing. In an instant, I pointlessly covered up the end of the receiver. Keiichi, get the door, please. On the other side of the door, I heard my father's oddly upbeat voice. What could it be? It's so late. Sorry, my dad just came in. Can we leave it at this for tonight? Yeah. My apologies again for calling so late. If you find out anything else, please let me know. I'll tell you if I make any progress on this end. Well then, have a pleasant evening. Keiichi, hurry and open up. Daddy's got his hands full. What is Dad doing? I had stayed in the same position while on the phone the whole time, so my joints were aching. When I opened the door, I saw my father was standing there with a tray. On that tray, cookies and 2 cups of black tea, a fairly fancy spread for our household. There was even sugar and lemon slices on the side, everything you could ask for. This was quite the show of hospitality. What's going on, Dad? What's all this for? Come now, don't play around, Keiichi. I'm coming in. Dad was in high spirits and had a smirk on his face, but for my entire life, I've never seen him act this hospitable. What had gotten into him? So what were you talking about? I jumped. It's not something I had to keep from my father, but how could I explain to him I was talking to a detective, I'm assuming he was, this late at night? Nothing much. Just a friend. I don't mean the phone. She was here, wasn't she? Rina-chan. Oh, that just gave me goosebumps. Oh my, that just gave me the creeps. Like, as soon as that line came on screen, instant goosebumps. No lie. She wasn't here. Come now, don't try to keep it from me. She just came over to play. You two were chatting away, so I thought I'd bring some tea, but looks like I just missed her. No. No. I had no idea what Dad was talking about, but a cold sweat dripped down my back. How long were we talking? Rina-chan went upstairs about half after, so it was close to an hour, I guess? Oh my. Oh my. You saw her come up to the 2nd floor? Yeah, I did. I also told her that your room was the door down the hall up the stairs. Rina came to my house about an hour ago. Dad met her at the door and called out to me on the 2nd floor. I probably didn't hear him because I was so focused on my conversation with Uishi-san. Need to stop hitting that button. I didn't reply, but he knew I was in my room, so he had her come inside. Told her my room was on the 2nd floor. She thanked my dad and went upstairs. Then about an hour passed. She passed by my dad just as he was bringing up the tea and left. She came upstairs and about an hour passed. Wait, did it just repeat itself? Then passed by my dad and returned home. Then, after she came upstairs, and until she left, where was Rina? There's only a short hallway between my room and the stairs, meaning Rina had, for about an hour, in the hall. No, she couldn't have been standing in front of my door all that time. The door to my room wasn't particularly thick. You could easily hear everything being said inside. All of the ominous things and all the nonsense I spoke to Uishi-san about began rushing through my head. Honestly, don't tease him. More importantly, you need to clean up your studio. It's a mess again. Mom yelled at Dad from downstairs. Dad left the tray with me and went downstairs with a disappointed chortle. I followed my dad out of the room with my eyes. I looked down at the floor around the doorway where Rina might have stood all that time. Just now, as I was talking to Uishi-san, with my back turned, Rena was standing a mere 6 feet away the whole time. Oh my. Well, this isn't good. But yeah, seriously, when he said that, when I saw that line come across the screen, I instantly got chills and goosebumps all over my body. It's just like, oh, yeah. Fuck. All that time, in this dimly lit doorway, what did she see? What did she hear? For what reason? As the steam from the 2 teacups ominously wafted and twisted, the aroma of black tea filled my room. Yeah, that's not disturbing at all. No, not at all. Fuck. We received new tips. Notice from the police chief. Lies! Achievement unlocked. Oh my. Oh my. Notice from the police chief. July 1st, 1982, to Department 1 through 12, Prefectural Police Headquarters, Director General, to the Chief Constable and all faculty managers regarding cases situated in the Hinamizawa village. Notice. As cases in Shishibone City, Hinamizawa village have been reported by certain sections of mass media as drawing global attention, which is causing serious repercussions at local residents. This has become a very serious situation to protect local livelihood, prosperity of... Damn. Designating the following criminal investigations as classified. Okinomiya Station, 1982 case, Hinamizawa village housewife murder. Okinomiya Station, case number, Hinamizawa student disappearance, non-disclosure of information, 1979, Hinamizawa village site foreman murder, Shira Station, 1980, case number, Shira National Park falling incident, Okinomiya Station, 1981, Hinamizawa village Shinto priest's wife's disappearance, representing self-restraint from each organization concerning the release of sensitive information. Please see attached reference materials 1, 2, and 3, Prefectural Police Headquarters. Internal line, Police Affairs Department, etc. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Weariness and a headache. Not a very nice way to start a day. What's wrong, Keiichi? You don't look so well. When did you go to sleep? It seemed that my mom had noticed my sullen state. Yesterday, I kept on waking up in the middle of the night. Without a doubt, I felt a presence. I felt the presence of someone standing in front of my door. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. I told myself repeatedly that it was my imagination and forced myself to try and sleep. Except, not being able to stand it, I gathered up my courage and opened the door. Of course there wasn't anyone there. I think I did this 3 times throughout the night. Or maybe I just didn't remember doing it any more than that. Even though I was able to get to the breakfast table without incident, I still didn't feel at ease. It might be a cold. I don't really have an appetite. You do seem a little warm. Well, can you make it to school? Technically, I did go to a school, but it was mostly self-study. It wouldn't matter much if I missed a day, would it? It could have been that I hadn't been feeling well for the last few days because I really did have a cold. If I took some medicine and got a good day of rest, I might be able to greet everyone with a smile tomorrow. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Startled, I looked back and forth between the entrance and the clock. It was 10 minutes later than I usually met up with Rena. It was Rena. Rena-chan came to get you. What are you going to do? Are you going to take the day off? Rena was a good girl. She might be somewhat quirky, but she was certainly cute. The lunches she made were delicious, and she always looked out for me. Why should I be so scared of something like that? It wasn't Rena's fault. It was probably mine. It had to have been my cold. It just had to be. I'll rest. Sorry. Then I'll go send her off for you. Mom headed off to the door. I would have to pass by the entrance to get back to my room. I didn't have the nerve to meet with Rena, so I wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa and closed my eyes. I was so sleep deprived, I quickly fell into a deep slumber. Oh, jeez. I had only intended to lie down for a bit, but it was almost noon when I woke up. I called out to my parents, but they didn't seem to be around. On the table I found lunch prepared and a note. Mom and Dad had apparently driven off to somewhere far away. It likely had to do with Dad's work. This happened every so often, so it wasn't that unusual. They would probably be back sometime after dinner. On the note it said, "The insurance card is in the cabinet. Take it and go to the hospital." There was also a well-drawn map to the hospital. That's right. I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know exactly where it was. I had a light lunch, although it really was just leftovers from the morning, and just in case, went to the hospital. Normally, I'd never be here in the middle of a weekday. Just walking around like this had me feeling guilty. It was an odd feeling. Following my mom's map, I took a road I usually never used. After walking for a bit, the hospital's sign came into view. Ire? That's probably wrong. Ire Clinic was written rather stylishly on the sign. The clinic wasn't very big, but based on the scale of the rest of Hinamizawa, it was far too grand. There was a parking lot and even a reserved spot for buses. They must be making a mint. I spaced out in the air-conditioned waiting room until it was my turn to be seen. Nabara-san, please make your way to the examination room. After properly answering all the chatty doctor's questions, he responded with the old, "It's probably a cold." They gave me a shot and 3 days worth of medicine. I thought it was a little overboard, but if it would clear away the gloomy feeling I'd been having lately, then it was worth it. I settled the bill and took a quick trip to the washroom. As I was leaving, I overheard a conversation between some elderly people who seemed to be regulars at the clinic. Of course, I had no intention of eavesdropping. If it just wasn't for that word. Must have been an Onikakushi. I wonder. She was still pretty young. Might have just eloped. With whom? That man from Tokyo who visits every season. The young one with that big camera. Didn't you know they were getting along pretty well? Oh, it makes me feel bad. Were they talking about Tomatake-san? I could feel my ears perking up. I don't know about that, but you have to make preparations before you elope. Leave a note or quit their job or something. It's an elopement because they didn't leave a note or message. The thought that I'll never see that young nurse's face again makes me rather sad. Takano-san is an understanding young man. She'll be fine wherever... young woman. Why did I say man? Whatever. She'll be fine wherever she goes. Takano-san is an upstanding young woman. She'll be fine wherever she goes. So her name was Takano-san. That woman with Tomatake-san. And she worked at this clinic. Oyoshiro-sama's shadow was following me everywhere I went. I started listening more closely, but they began talking about fishing, and it didn't seem like they were going to revisit the topic. I gave up and left. Thus, even though I was separated from the daily monotony of school, I wasn't able to escape from Oyoshiro-sama's shadow. But of course, Oyoshiro-sama was the guardian deity of this place, of Hinamizawa. As long as I was in Hinamizawa, I wouldn't be able to escape. Maybe it was because I was walking outside, but my appetite had suddenly returned. I might as well, I don't know why I put not in there, but anyway. I might as well buy a snack with the change from the examination fee on the way home. Contemplating that, I turned onto a familiar street. At that moment, I heard a car horn abruptly honk behind me. Was I really walking so far in the middle of the road where I'd be in a car's way? I moved further off to the side, but the horn was still honking at me. I turned around peeved. Nabara-san, good day to you. It was Uishi-san. He stepped out of his car, AC on full blast, and waved at me. What's up today? School on break? Just not feeling well, so I took the day off. I was able to buy lunch and head back home. I was about to buy lunch and head back home. That's great. I'm just about to get lunch myself. Would you mind going together? If you're not feeling up for it, then don't mind me. I was going to lie down after going home anyway. And I didn't really have a cold. I doubt you'd want to eat at one of these local places. Let's go into town. It's a bit of a drive. Is that all right? I know a pretty good place. I'd finally begun to understand Uishi-san's roundabout way of saying things. He probably wanted to talk to me about stuff that would be difficult to discuss while in Hinamizawa. I went with Uishi-san riding in his frigid car. It was almost as if the bright sunlight outside was a lie. I'm sorry about calling you so late last night. Did your parents get angry at you? No. I recalled Rena, who had been listening to the phone conversation all that time, separated from me by just the door. Separated from me by just the door. Even now, in the brightness of the sunlight, the thought still creeped me out. With a big bump that jolted the car, the road connecting to the city changed from dirt to pavement. My head swiveled back with a sudden realization. That's right. This is where Tomitake-san died. They've hit a snag on the investigation regarding Tomitake-san. Uishi-san spoke while peering at me from the corner of his eye. They believe it was caused by hallucinogens, given how he was clawing out his own throat. But a drug that could cause that to happen so suddenly is extremely hard to come by. Bear in mind, of course, the autopsy was done with that premise in mind, but we didn't find any leads. You know, now that I think about it, this does take place in the early 80s, and let's face it, forensic science hadn't really progressed that much back then. They probably don't know that there are some drugs that would still decay sometimes even rather quickly in a dead body. So the possibility that it was a drug is still plausible. I doubt that it is based off this game's setting and everything like that, but if this case were to take place in modern times, it would probably be looked at a bit more closely, you know? But then again, who knows? But we didn't find any leads. You know that thing you see in comics all the time? Where there's a drug that if you put it in them, it doesn't leave any traces? There's also that, you know? It exists. Cecilia something or other. Yeah. Well, it's pretty common. But you see, there doesn't seem to be any kind of drug that would cause Tomitake-san to react like that. Then you're saying the police concluded Tomitake-san just died from the curse. I couldn't help but feel that the police were worthless. I just wanted the idea of a curse to be disassociated from Tomitake-san's mysterious death. Unfortunately, that's how it looks right now. But putting aside the cause of death, without a doubt, he was surrounded by a group of people and had taken a beating before he died. That was no curse, but the incident that unquestionably involved other humans. But an incident that made me a bit relieved. We passed in front of the rather desolate, but still busier than Hinamazawa, train station. The car pulled into a restaurant parking lot, and I followed Uishi-san into the shop. You know, you should probably tell him about Rena. Seriously. Not just the whole, you know, she was listening to us for about an hour last night, but also her little freak-out session that she had. Just saying. It was pretty crowded, but there were only adults at this hour. Of course, there wouldn't be children in here in the middle of a weekday. 2, please, not smoking. This way, please. When you're ready to order, please call me over. We were led by a peculiar Yeah, I can't talk right now. Peculiarly dressed waitress to our table. I sat with Uishi-san in the booth. So what do you think? Aren't the waitresses' outfits here cute? Huh? Well, I guess? This shop is always quite busy. It's more about the waitresses than the food, you see. Uh-huh. Uishi-san, you're leering. Am I really? Alright, we are going to end this episode here, so if you enjoyed it, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more content in the future, and until next time, everybody, have a good one. I'll see you next time. Bye.